Hi everyone! In Japan, we have so many delicious egg-rice dishes like curry rice, hayashi rice, Omu-rice, and so on. In this video, I'm going to introduce 6 different low-calorie, high-protein egg-rice Japanese rice dish. First up, we are making fluffy egg and pork rice. This dish has a truly addictive sauce, so I really want you to give it a try. Today I'm using spinach, but feel free to substitute it with your favorite vegetables. Onions or bell peppers would be a good addition and go really well with this recipe. We'll slice the pork thinly so it cooks quickly. Pork fillet is the leanest cut of pork with the lowest calories and fat, making it perfect for those watching their diet. It's so healthy, yet still moist and incredibly delicious. Marinating the pork is key. We'll mix it well with soy sauce, sake, salt and pepper, and potato starch. Adding a little potato starch beforehand helps the sauce cling to the pork beautifully later on. Japanese spinach can have a strong bitterness, so it needs to be blanched beforehand. About a minute in boiling water is perfect. Then make sure to drain it well. I think spinach in places like the US and Europe can be eaten raw, right? If so, that's so convenient because you can skip the blanching. The freshly blanched spinach will be hot, so let it cool down for a bit. Now we'll add a little sesame oil to the frying pan and make some scrambled eggs. You can use any type of oil you like. The sesame oil adds such a lovely aroma that really elevates the dish. We don't want to overcook the eggs, so turn off the heat early. There we go, nice and fluffy scrambled eggs. Take the eggs at once. I tried frying pork fillet in a stainless steel pan before, and it stuck like crazy, so I decided to use this non-stick pan this time. Just a tiny bit of oil is enough. Spread the pork out in a single layer so it cooks evenly and quickly. By the way, in Japan, there is a stir-fry dish with thinly sliced, actually even thinner, pork, bamboo shoot, and green peppers. It's a very popular Japanese-style Chinese dish. The flavor of this recipe is inspired by that dish. It will be delicious with bamboo shoot, but they can be a bit pricey, so I don't buy them that often. Now we'll add the spinach and eggs to the pan. Let's turn off the heat for now. We don't want to overcook the spinach and eggs, so make sure the pork is fully cooked before this step. Since the spinach has cooled down, squeeze out any excess water with your hands before adding it to the pan. Use chopsticks to spread out the spinach. With the heat still off, we'll add the seasonings. Oyster sauce, soy sauce, mirin, and sugar. Now turn the heat back on and mix everything well. After heating for about a minute, it's done. We'll add the eggs last to keep them nice and fluffy. Use a spatula or chopsticks to break up any large clumps. The fluffy eggs and tender pork coated in this delicious sauce are just amazing. It goes perfectly with rice. This time I mix some edamame into the rice for extra protein. But you can skip this if you like. Adding edamame boosts the nutritional value with vitamins and makes the meal more satisfying even with a smaller portion of rice. Next, we are making healthy taco rice. Usually, taco rice is made with ground beef or a mix of ground beef and pork, but this time we are using ground chicken breast, so it's super healthy. If you are not worried about calories, feel free to use beef or whatever you like. To get rid of any potential smell and add some depth of flavor, I'm adding some sake to the chicken. We also add a little grated ginger and garlic. Mix well. When you make tacos, you probably use a pre-made taco seasoning mix, right? I sometimes buy those seasoning packets too, but this time I thought I'd add a bit of a Japanese twist. So we are going to use soy sauce, shantan, or any stock powder you prefer, miso, oyster sauce, sugar, and finally, allspice powder. You can totally substitute with your favorite spices. Allspice is actually a single spice with a deep aroma that kind of smells like a mix of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. I used to think it was a blend of different spices. Stir fry until all the liquid has evaporated. By the way, taco rice originated in Okinawa. It was developed in the 80s, and because Okinawa was under US administration until 1972, there were apparently a lot of restaurants catering to Americans. Tacos aren't really a common food in Japan, but they were apparently popular at a certain bar in Okinawa. The owner of that bar decided to put the popular taco filling on top of rice, and that's how it started. They wanted to create an inexpensive and filling dish. I'll make a fried egg as a topping. I love tacos, but it's so sad because there aren't many places that sell them here. It seems tacos haven't really caught on in Japan yet. I really should have prepared some salsa, but I don't have any, so I'll just use some chopped tomatoes. I prepare lettuce and tomato, and I'll add a little bit of mayonnaise as a final touch. But you can add typical taco toppings like salsa, sour cream, and cheese. It was a pretty simple way to make it, but it's still super yummy. Next up, we are making Chuka-don, seafood stir-fried rice. This time, seafood is the star of the show. We'll thaw the frozen seafood mix and pat it dry really well. My husband and I both love Chuka-don, but we haven't made it very often. But this time, I made an incredibly delicious version, so I'll definitely be making it again. For the vegetable, I'm using carrots and bok choy this time, but you can also use cabbage or Chinese cabbage instead of bok choy. Also, we often use bamboo shoot or a type of mushroom called wood ear, which are commonly used in Chinese cuisine. I skipped those this time. We'll add a little sesame oil to the frying pan and fry the carrots. Once the oil is all around, we'll add the harder parts of the bok choy and lightly fry them. we'll add the seafood mix. It has shrimp, squid, and clams, but feel free to use your favorite types of seafood. You could even just use shrimp. We'll turn off the heat here for a moment. Now we'll add the seasonings. To reduce any fishy smell from the seafood, let's add some sake. We'll also add water, shantan, oyster sauce, soy sauce, and sugar. Shantan really goes well with this dish, so I highly recommend trying it. But I know it can be hard to find for some people, so you can use chicken stock powder as a substitute. Now we'll turn the heat back on and simmer it lightly. By the way, this dish is called Chuka-don in Japanese, and Chuka means Chinese, but I don't think it's actually a dish you'd find in China. There's a theory that it was first made as a staff meal at a Chinese restaurant in Japan. Oh, I almost forgot the salt and pepper. We'll add that now. Adjust the amount to your taste. When it's almost done, we'll add the leafy part of the bok choy. We'll lightly fry it and then taste it. Add more salt and pepper if needed. The seafood mix I used didn't have much shrimp, so I bought some extra shrimp and added them. I love shrimp because it's low in calories but high in protein. We'll let the added shrimp soak up the flavor. And finally, we'll thicken the sauce with water-soaked potato starch. We'll dissolve about 2 teaspoons of potato starch in twice the amount of water and add it little by little. Make sure to stir well as you add it. It's okay when it reaches your desired thickness. But make sure to stir fry over high heat for at least 1 minute after adding the potato starch. And that's it. We'll pour it over rice. By the way, it's typical to add quail eggs to this dish, but I use hard-boiled eggs as a substitute this time. We'll top it with pickled ginger and it's done. Next, we are making Omu-rice and tonteki, Japanese-style pork steak. We'll start by finely chopping the vegetable for the Omu-rice. Onion, carrot, and green bell pepper are my go-to vegetable whenever I make ketchup rice. You could also add corn. Some people use bacon or sausage to make ketchup rice, and I often do that too. But this time, to keep it low calorie and high protein, I'm using skinless chicken. Let's cut the chicken into fairly small pieces as well. We'll add a little oil to the fry pan and fry the onion and carrot. Once the vegetables are softened, we'll make some space and add the chicken. I'll add a little sake to help thaw the slightly frozen chicken. We'll also add some salt and pepper and fry until it changes color. Once it's mostly cooked, we'll mix it with the vegetable and lightly fry everything together. Then it's time to add the seasoning. We'll add the ketchup, consomme, sugar, and soy sauce. Then we'll add the green bell pepper. When making ketchup rice, it's really important to cook off the excess moisture after adding these seasonings. If you don't do this before adding the rice, it'll become soggy. I could add the rice to the fry pan now, but since it's a bit small, I'll transfer everything to a bowl and mix in the cooked rice there. By the way, when you think of Omu-rice in Japan, the typical version is ketchup rice wrapped in an egg. But there are also versions where the egg wrapped pilaf, fried rice, or butter rice instead of ketchup rice. When I was little, my mom never made the ketchup rice version. She always made something like fried rice and wrapped it in egg. I have such fond memories of drawing letters and hearts on the egg with ketchup. Now that the ketchup rice is ready, we'll make the tonteki, another high-protein dish. We are using pork fillet again. We'll use this to make a Japanese-style pork steak. I think this thickness is ideal, as it might be difficult to cook through if it's too thick. We'll lightly season both sides with salt and pepper. And we'll also slice some garlic. I removed the green shoot from the garlic using chopsticks. Then we'll lightly coat the pork with potato starch. We'll add a thin layer of oil to the fry pan. Add the garlic and lightly fry till release the aroma. Then we'll start frying the pork. To really infuse the pork with the garlic flavor, we'll let it sit on top of the garlic like this. We'll cook each side for about 2 to 3 minutes until it's cooked through. It's so delicious when the garlic gets nicely brown, but make sure to rescue it from burning completely. Now we'll make the tonteki sauce. We'll add soy sauce, mirin, oyster sauce, rice vinegar, and sugar, and mix it well. Since the pork is lightly coated with potato starch, the sauce will thicken slightly, which is perfect. Even though I only used 100 grams of rice for the ketchup rice, it's still quite filling because of the added vegetable and chicken. Today I'm only using 1 egg for the Omu-rice, so I won't be able to fully wrap the rice, but I'll make a simple small omelette. I'll add some sugar, or a pinch of salt is fine too, and milk to the egg to make it creamy. I turn off the heat early to try and keep it fluffy. It did get fluffy. We'll plate the tonteki and it's done. The tonteki is so tender and amazing. This addictive sauce is truly delicious. Next up, we are making Umami Negi-shio chicken rice. Here, I'm finally chopping some shiso leaves for the topping. If you don't have shiso, parsley or basil would also work. It's totally fine to leave it out altogether too. But this green onion is absolutely essential. Please finely chop a leek or green onion. Now we'll cut the chicken. Today, the negi-shio sauce is the most important part. Negi is green onion and shio is salt. It's such a simple sauce with so much umami flavor and it goes perfectly with chicken. So I really want you to try it. We'll remove the skin from the chicken and cut it into small pieces. I decided to cut them into sticks today just because. I use thigh meat, but chicken breast is totally fine too. We'll season the chicken with salt and pepper. And lightly coat it with potato starch. And now we'll make the base for the important negi-shio sauce. In a bowl, we'll add water, sake, shantan, and salt, and mix it well. Shantan can be a little hard to dissolve, so it doesn't have to be perfect. If you don't have shantan, you can substitute it with chicken stock powder or bouillon. We'll add a little oil to the fry pan and start cooking the chicken. By the way, I'm showing you the healthy version of negi-shio sauce today. But if you are not worried about calories, it's even more delicious if you first fry the chopped green onion in quite a bit of sesame oil, and then add the other seasonings to make the sauce. The key is to slowly fry the green onion in sesame oil for a good amount of time. That negi-shio sauce goes great with chicken, and you can even use it as a dressing for vegetables. We'll cook the chicken for about 2 minutes on each side until the surface is nicely browned. Once the chicken is cooked through, we'll add the green onion and the sauce we made earlier. We'll simmer this sauce over medium heat. Make sure to flip the chicken so that it's well coated in the sauce. It's done when the sauce has reduced quite a bit like this. We'll plate the rice on a plate and arrange the chicken on top. And pour the negi-shio sauce generously over it. Finally, adding the shiso as a topping as a refreshing touch that is so delicious. Finally, we are making healthy Oyakodon. Usually, Oyakodon is mainly chicken and egg with just a little bit of onion. But this time, we are going to add lots of vegetables to get those vitamins. Broccoli in particular is high in protein, so I definitely want to include that. Lotus root and carrots are optional, but adding lots of root vegetable makes the meal more satisfying even with less rice. Lotus root discolors very quickly, so it's essential to soak it in water if you are not going to cook it right away. Soaking it in water with a little vinegar will keep it even brighter. We'll also cut the carrot into small pieces. And as usual, we'll remove the skin from the chicken and cut into bite-sized pieces. Just before putting the lotus root in the fry pan, we'll drain it well. We'll put the lotus root and carrot in a pot with water and lightly simmer them. These two take quite a while to soften, so I simmer them for 2 to 3 minutes beforehand. We could fry them in oil, but that would use quite a bit of oil, so to keep it healthy, I chose to cook it more like a traditional Oyakodon. Once they've softened a bit, we'll add the broccoli and seasonings. Sake, mirin, soy sauce, sugar, and dashi powder. We'll mix it lightly. After it comes to a light boil, we'll add the chicken. I probably should have added the broccoli later since it cooks so quickly. Turn the chicken occasionally so that it's evenly coated with the flavor. I didn't want the broccoli to get overcooked and mushy, so I took it out for a bit. We'll continue to simmer it until the broth reduces a bit more and the vegetables are completely tender. Once the broth has reduced a little, we'll add a beaten egg. I'm only using 1 egg this time, but you can add more if you like. We'll cover it and cook it for about a minute. And it's done. I think it's nice to drizzle some of the remaining broth from the frying pan over the top at the end. Don't forget the broccoli we took out earlier. We'll top it with finely chopped green onion and it's done.